I'm Millcreek Township Supervisor John Groh. As you may know, one of the functions of local government is to provide for public infrastructure. For those that are not aware, Millcreek Township has a land area of 29.5 square miles and over 210 miles of township-maintained streets and roads. We also have a large sanitary sewer system, with most of the township being served by it, along with a developing storm sewer system to handle stormwater discharge. As you might imagine, these tasks can be quite daunting at times. To discuss the operation of these services, along with the plans for this year's schedule, is Director of Public Works, Director Gary Snyder. Gary, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. It's nice to be back.
Thank you. I'm glad we're here. And I'll tell you what, I know we only have 30 minutes. Let's start right off on the topic that is near and dear to many people, and I say that tongue-in-cheek, potholes. What are we doing with the potholes? And I know this is something that, as we know, and I'm not trying to make light of it, it's perennial as the grass. They keep on coming back every year, and we have a program how we fix them. Tell us more about it.
We have decided to take and follow our plow routes. We have 17 plow routes.
Yes.
So when we get into where we're able to fill the potholes, we put 3 or 4 people on a patch crew. We have 4 patch crews out every day.
Okay.
And those 4 people go through their plow routes. So it's kind of a systematic way of doing it, unless we get a complaint of a large one that's in the middle of the road or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. And that does happen there too. Folks, I mean, we're not trying to make excuses. Our weather is one of the contributing factors to it. The application of salt to the road surface, it causes a heaving effect, and the next thing you know, you got a pothole blowing out there. And then when you get vehicles going across that, it breaks it out even more on the far side of it, and so on. There's a science to how these things break down, and I know they're maddening. Keep in mind that we also drive on the same streets, and we've hit potholes. I was just telling Gary before the program, my own car, I broke a tie rod, on the front suspension of the car. That it didn't break off completely, but it broke it enough that it caused the steering to wobble a little bit. So I definitely understand that. So anyway, of course, we are maintaining it. Like I said, we see these things. We report them ourselves, and the bad ones, of course, as always, please keep us informed. I know you've been doing it already, and we are working on them, as we speak here. So now let's talk about street paving. This is something that we do annually, try to keep the new surfaces on our streets. What do we have going this year? I mean, of course, we don't have the list here in front of us, but what are we doing on that? How many roads of miles do we, or how many miles do we do?
Well, we always try and get at least 10 miles of road paved every year.
Okay, out of the 210 that we have. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
The paving, nothing comes out of the township's budget.
Okay.
It is funded by liquid fuels money.
Liquid fuels money, yes.
Which is what we pay at the gas pump.
Right, that's the tax on the gas. So folks, this is where some of your tax money goes for that.
And we have taken a different approach this year. We have closed down our asphalt plant.
Okay.
We were the last township in the whole state to have our own township plant.
Yes, I mean, some people may be surprised to hear that, but I mean, it's something you and I have known for a long time. Millcreek was the last municipality to ever produce its own asphalt, and explain why we have decided not to operate it this year.
Well, the board has decided we had to take a stand someplace.
Yes.
It takes almost our whole crew when we pave. Out of 28 people, it takes 20 on the paving crew. And during the summer, it takes 2.5 months to pave what we're going to pave.
Right.
And we also hire out part of the paving.
Okay.
It just, with the infrastructure the way it's going, like every other city and town in the United States, the infrastructure is starting to break down.
Oh, yes.
So we determined that it is better for us to put our workforce on the infrastructure rather than the paving.
Yes.
And it is also cheaper for us to bid it out than to make our own when we figure in wages and everything.
Okay. I know that there may be some that are going to ask, if we're not going to be paving, are we going to be laying off streets employees because of this? Or are we still going to maintain that, and is there other work that they're going to be working on? we have a plan for that right there, and of course I think I speak very securely with this that the township has no intention of laying off any of these streets employees. But first of all, they work for us very well in doing the work that they do, but we're going to devote the time to working on another project.
Yes,
Okay.
as everybody knows that drives around the township, the famous orange barrels.
Yes.
That sometimes sit out there for 3, sometimes 4 years.
Embarrassingly, yes.
yes.
Yeah. So we're sad to say that, and it's a fact. But yeah.
On our spills, we're going to spearhead that this year, along with some storm sewer projects that have been put off for a few years, and at least start there.
Yes.
We have storm sewers that are very, very old. The metal pipes are starting to rust, so there will always be replacement projects and repair work.
Okay. Would it be fair, and I'm not sure how to, I'll just say it this way, and I hope I'm not being offensive, because that's not what the intent here is, that all the time that we were paving, matters like the storm drains that have collapsed, we would just throw a barrel on, and it's like, when we get around to it.
That would be absolutely correct.
Okay, yeah, like I said, that's not to be negative, that's just the fact what we had done, because we put all the attention on paving. Like you said, 20 out of the 28 members or part of the streets department were working on paving rather than that other part, that is just equally important. So there's been a lot of neglect over the years in that matter. And this year we're straightening it out. But let's jump back to the paving. How is this going to be done differently? That I know we're not going to be producing asphalt or laying it to any substantial amount, that is. So we want to clarify that. What is it? We're going to have contractors do it this year?
Yes, it will be a bid process.
Okay.
We're going to start off with 2 contracts,
Okay.
one on the east side of Millcreek, one on the west side of Millcreek.
Okay.
Those contracts will be let out soon.
Okay.
And all the major paving companies will, I suspect, bid on those.
Right.
It's the only way to get the best price.
Right. Competitive bidding always does that
Yes.
for us.
And then while they're paving, we can be doing other things. We also won't have, in the past, we had to mill the streets to get
Yes.
them level. And we were at the mercy of the milling company.
Right.
They would set the date, and it may be 2-3 months that a street was opened up.
Oh,
And it was terrible. I
Right.
mean, the streets would start to unravel in that time. So we're constantly maintaining streets that shouldn't have to be maintained.
Right.
Whereas the private companies will come in, mill the street, and it would be paved a lot sooner.
A lot sooner, yes, yeah, and that's good, because I know that was one of the concerns that's been raised over the years, is that, why is it that we mill the street in March, April, May, and then it doesn't get surfaced, and then it'll surface until August, September, and residents would complain, it makes their cars steer all over the place. You get in them grooves that the milling machine makes in the former surface. And it just makes driving the car a little bit more difficult. So we'll be able to actually do a project we won't do it ourselves, the contractor. They'll be able to go in and mill it, and in relative close time, be able to put a new surface down on top of it then. So that'll work very well. And I hope that, first of all, it's a very efficient way of doing construction, any sort of road repaving. Get in and out and get it done. We see this being done on other streets everywhere else, and you see it on the interstate highways. Now granted, there might be sections where they close a lane down and just mill the whole thing for miles, and then eventually they get around to paving the whole thing. But whenever you got local government, in the municipalities, this is what they'll do. Go and mill, paver right after that or shortly after that.
Yes.
Good. That's a good thing. I think that should make a lot of the residents very pleased with that, and it sounds like it's a very good system, and I think we'll have really good luck with that this year. So let's move back to the storm sewer system. Let's talk about that. As I mentioned, and Gary, we were talking, it seemed like whenever there was a collapse of a storm drain, of the catch basin, that we would just go out, and I'm not saying this happened all the time, because sometimes they were so critical they had to be repaired right then. They were on an emergency basis. We would go out, put an orange barrel on it to let everybody know, don't drive over this because you may end up with your car in that. So now we're going to be getting rid of these things by fixing what's underneath there. And we have quite a few of them, I think. Do we have an accurate count or somewhat of a close count of how many of those? I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot,
Right.
but I know it's well over 100.
Well over 100.
Well over 100. Let's just say that.
Yes. Yes, I would say well over 100.
Okay.
Would be a good guess.
Yes. So by doing this, and then of course we also have the storm pipes too that are in the ground. We have many of them that are rusted out and collapsed. Of course, let's keep in mind that most of it put in 50, 60 years ago was corrugated metal pipe. Without any coatings on it there. So they're in direct contact with the soil, and the soil is causing them to wear down, and next thing you know, they're breaking and they're rusting through and collapsing eventually. And some are even filled with debris
Yes.
that need to be cleaned out. So we'll be spending a lot more time working on this part of the infrastructure. And it's a vital part, because without a good storm sewer system, we're going to find ourselves flooding more and more. So the approach is that, as Gary and I have been talking about here, we'll have the paving done by outside contractors, and our streets crew will be working on the storm sewer system, replacing basins, maybe putting in new basins, replacing pipe. I mentioned the storm sewer pipe, the corrugated metal. We're putting in what's called HDPE, or high density polyethylene. That's the black plastic that is heavily ribbed, and it's very durable, and it lasts forever, so to speak. So,
Correct.
so
Yes,
that's
much better
yeah,
pipe.
Yeah, and of course, this also, we work with the engineering department on this too, our township engineers. It's not just a matter of going in and paving, because many times we'll put new storm sewer pipe in there. We know something is bad, or some new catch basins, or even some crosswalks, things like that.
Yes.
So there's so many things where the coordination of the departments has to occur, between the paving, and then also with the storm sewers and engineering, which helps design these things. So there has to be a thoughtful process of how it's going to be done.
Well, and one other thing that we kind of gloss over is that we also work with other utilities.
Yes. Oh yeah.
We put our paving list out, and we send it out to NFG, water department, so that
Right.
if they have anything coming up in the near future, they get in there and change their stuff before we pave it, so they don't have a bunch of new holes in a brand new street.
Right. Yeah, that seems to be kind of the tongue-in-cheek joke, is that like, oh yeah, they're going to pave it. You watch, next week there's going to be an excavation done in that. And,
Right.
So we're trying to avoid that as much as possible. Now, of course, the utilities, they may not even know that they have a problem in there. Many times it's just a problem.
Correct.
They think that the pipes, the systems are good in there, and then they find that there's a problem there, and then next thing they got to dig it up.
Well, and also, they have old pipes just as like we do.
Yes.
Whether they be water or anything else. And
Sure.
these big rollers that you put on the streets vibrate
Yes.
to help compact the asphalt.
Yep.
And they shake the ground.
Yes.
And that is one reason why we have a tendency to get some water breaks on a new street.
Oh yes. Yes, I know. We've seen that. We've heard of it happening, and so on there. So, as far as our storm sewer system, I believe that we're heading in the right direction on this. I think that the Board of Supervisors completely agrees on this. Along with the support of the engineering department. And the cooperation from the ASCME union, the guys that work in the streets department itself. This is a whole new direction and a new way of looking at how we are going to take care, and we Millcreek Township are going to take care of the infrastructure, how to keep it going, keep it working, and making sure it's convenient for everybody, all of our residents within Millcreek. So, okay, let's move on to the sanitary sewer system, which is also part of your. For people that may not know, I should have said this at the beginning, Gary oversees the Department of Public Works, which encompasses the Streets Department, the streets garage, which handles maintenance on the trucks and also the police vehicles that we have, and all township vehicles. Also oversees as far as the maintenance of the storm sewer system, but also the sanitary sewer system too, which Millcreek has. So I just wanted to add that in there, and then we can move sanitary sewers.
Yes.
Of course, we've had a change here as far as Millcreek used to have a sewer authority, and of course it dissolved here at the end of 2018, and the township took over some of the operations of
Right.
that, what was left of it. So, of course, what do we do in the sanitary sewer division here? What is it that is maintained?
Well, we maintain well over 200 miles of sanitary sewer,
Yes.
and we have 45 pump stations
Okay.
that we also have to maintain. They're visited every day.
Okay.
With the change, some of the projects were done by the sewer authority. They would no longer will be doing that.
Right.
So it puts a little bit more onus on us as far as planning and seeing where the money is really going.
Right. Yeah.
So it'll mean a little more work for the sewer department, sewer revenue,
Right.
but I think in the long run, it was a good idea.
Right, yeah. Let me just go back a little bit here about the sewer authority. Of course, it was formed 60, 70 years ago, I think it was.
Yes.
I don't remember the exact date, but when authorities they're created to help build something. They have a project that they work on. All authorities have that, and the Millcreek Sewer Authority is no different. Their main function was to help underwrite the cost of installing a storm sewer or a sanitary system throughout Millcreek Township. This helps for the health, safety, and welfare of the public and our residents. So their job was to do this. And so the Millcreek is actually just about completed on all of its sanitary sewer installation. There are pockets of it here and there, but the township is at a point now where it has the ability and the financial ability to complete some of these things. And so the dissolving of the Millcreek Sewer Authority, it was nothing of a political nature. It was something that it has lived a very useful purpose, and we do thank the members of the authority that have been on it for the many years. In the past, and the ones that just finally at the end of 2018 left the board there. So, for those folks, thank you for your service to Millcreek. You helped create what is one of the best sewer systems in this part of the state. So,
Yes.
yeah, I think that's.
I agree.
I think that's really what we need to know. So it wasn't a power struggle or anything like
No.
that. And but like you said, we have the maintenance of the storm or the sanitary. I keep on referring to storm. I don't know. We get them both. They're not the same, folks. Let me just say that. So we got you said you got 45 pump stations.
Yes.
And so we've got the maintenance on those motors and the pipes and everything in there, and making sure that those things are operating 365 days a year and 366 in the leap year.
Right.
So,
And we also have a very aggressive I&I program.
right. Explain what I&I is, and
it's
people would understand that.
Inflow and infiltration.
Right.
That is going around, and some places some pumps are tied into the sanitary sewer, which is illegal.
Okay.
Some places, we have old pipes in the ground. They crack, the joints start to leak.
Okay.
We go in now with private concern and we grout the different parts of the pipe.
Okay.
They're tested to get rid of those leaks.
Okay.
And every gallon goes to the city of Erie treatment plant.
Okay.
So anytime we can cut out that much water, that's less we have to pay.
Right. Yeah, because we pay per 1,000 gallons of discharge that's treated, whether it's groundwater or if it's actual discharge itself.
Right.
So we pay for that. And so we've been able to reduce that. I know that number is significantly reduced by having this I&I program.
It's well over $1 million so far.
Yeah. In other words, if we had to pay for that, we would see an increase in the sewer rates because of that. And that's something that nobody wants to see. Actually, Millcreek has one of the lowest sewer rates in this region. Of course, it's been around for a while. The infrastructure is built. So we've been able to maintain it and check for the I&Is and get those problems corrected as soon as they are. One of the questions that I seem to get a lot, and I'm sure I'm not the only supervisor, but even yourself as a director, maintenance of the sewer laterals and stuff. You get a homeowner that calls, "Hey, my basement's flooding up a little bit. I got a backup in the floor drain." What is our policy in regards to looking at that? Do we look at that? Do we fix it? Do we unclog it? Or what do we do?
The way the policy is wrote up is the homeowner owns the lateral from the main line to the house.
Okay, so from the street to the house.
Correct.
Okay.
The policy is wrote up so that if they have a backup, they have to get a hold of a licensed plumber.
Okay.
If the licensed plumber determines that it is the main line, we will come out, open up the main, and in most cases, not all, but in most cases, we reimburse the homeowner for the plumber's cost.
Okay.
If it's a holiday or a weekend and we get a call like that, generally we will go out and check the main line. And if the main line is flowing okay, we get in touch with the homeowner and tell them that it's up to them to get somebody to fix it.
Exactly, yeah. I know I had an experience like this, I think 10, 15 years ago, where I was getting some backup in my floor drain. And of course, myself coming from the building trades and as a former plumbing inspector, I know the first place to look is in my own drain. That's the first place. And I was able to tell that it was in my own sewer lateral there. Something people may not be aware of, and this may be getting off topic a little bit, but one of the things that does happen, especially in the basement, if you have your laundry in there, you'll have, not only do you have particles of dry lint going in your dryer, but particles from the clothing or towels or whatever is being washed gets in your sanitary line there. And you get that going in there along with detergents and other things. Next thing you know, you're starting to clog up that pipe. And so that's really what happens over time, and it doesn't take a whole lot of time there. So anyway, so that's what we're doing is, so if the sewer lateral, that is what comes out of the street to the house. That is for the homeowner to maintain. That's their responsibility. And that means if it's clogged, call a plumbing contractor to fix it. And also if it needs to be replaced, they still have to do that. Is that correct? At their cost?
At their cost. We will, if it's a break from the property line out to the street, we will take in maybe sometimes help them out with that.
Okay, I understand. It is going to depend on the situation there, yes.
Yeah, it's strictly arbitrary, to be quite honest with you.
Okay.
Because, very few people have the capability of digging that deep.
Right.
And they also have to get a road bond, and there's a lot of money tied up in that.
A lot of things that go into that there, yeah. So that hub connection into the main line is, that's our line there. We want to make sure it's done right.
Right.
So we are involved in that there. So, Gary, we've got a couple of minutes left here, about 3 minutes or so. Anything else we would like to let the public know about in regards to public works? As far as what we do here at Millcreek Township?
Well, we also take care of all the streetlights.
Yes.
In the township. That falls under our concern.
Okay.
There are plenty of them.
Right.
And it's a 3-man department.
Okay. When you say streetlights, we're talking traffic lights or streets?
Traffic lights.
Traffic lights, okay, yeah, because street lights are handled by,
yeah,
just the traffic lights, your intersection signals. That's what I want to make sure that we're clarified on that. So, okay.
And the stop signs.
Yes.
And that are also handled by that 3-man department. So they're usually stretched pretty thin.
Oh yeah.
Especially when you get a heavy storm with a lot of wind.
Yes.
So there are a lot of things that we take care of. We're always looking for problem areas.
Okay.
Always.
Yes.
We go around to certain areas that we know we have flooding,
Yeah.
And once a week, those are checked out. If they have debris catchers,
Okay.
those are cleaned out.
Okay.
And it's done before rain and
And then
after
after
rain.
the rain too, yeah.
So
yeah.
we're vigilant on those.
Right.
You know, you never know what's going to come down
Right.
the pipe or the creek.
Well, sure, and especially with some of the storm events we've had over the last 10, 15, 20 years, you know, these are really out, you know, wow, is all I get to say, you know. And then, of course, the snow events that we've had, especially not this past winter, but the winter before.
Right.
You know, over 70 inches of snow in 3 days. Some years we don't get that much. I think we had, what, 89 inches this past year and this past winter?
Right.
Give you an
Snow
idea.
was not an issue.
No, this year it has not been. So, but of course we've gotten rain. I think even as we're recording this show, we're getting rain outside. So, anyway, I think we got about a minute left here, and I personally want to thank you for being part of this show here, folks. If you need to get a hold of Gary or myself or any of the supervisors, any of the departments at the township, the number is, of course, 814-833-1111. And we do, if after hours, you know, you have the ability to, there's a auto dialer attendant that will be able to tell you which extension you need to contact. And if it's an emergency, you know, I mean, it's a true emergency, you can still call the Millcreek Police Department on their non-business line, 833-9515. So that's only in case on weekends, at nights, things like that. They have the ability to get a hold of people from Public Works to handle the situation at hand. So thank you for watching this show, and we'll have more shows for you as the season goes on. Thank you for watching.